Hello and welcome back to Infinite Space. We will be continuing where we left off, which, if you recall, is after Calbex and Corwan arrived at the cavalry ship. I'm very sorry, but I just forget these names of everyone and people, even in real life. Like, immediately it goes in one ear and then just somehow gets lost. But anyways, they arrived at the ship. Calbex went into his steed, which looks like a big drill, which... weird design, but okay. I guess it uses the momentum of when the ship drops out of their... I'm gonna call it warp because I don't remember the term that they use. And it literally uses that momentum to push the ships out and then they go flying out. We will be getting a little bit of a lesson as to how the Aegis works. Meaning... Not a lesson, sort of like we're gonna see how it works basically. Let's leave it like that. But anyways, before that though, Calbeck's still showing some hesitation about being with Corwin, not being with, but like connecting with him, both as like a knight and his squire, and also, you know, connecting the actual Aegis system, because it would mean that he has to share his pain, and something that's gonna be said like within the next few minutes is something more is shared between the Aegis system aside from, you know, sharing the pain. But talking about that, something that Commander Finn had mentioned is that basically the squires are just sort of pain sponges for the knights. So they're meant to be there to allow the knight to continue fighting even if they're getting hurt. But as will be demonstrated in this video, sometimes that might be very overwhelming for them. But yeah. Spoilers. I'm not spoiling who it is that's going to be feeling the pain, but like... Anyways. But yeah, so everyone's on edge and we're about to see some... well, sort of. Some space fight and monster fight. Anyway, so yeah. Let us continue in Finite Space. The bridge is a madhouse of activity, crew at the various stations calling out readings, reading systems, and otherwise preparing us for imminent departure. Jez is situated in the middle of the hub, shouting orders left and right, using every one of their arms to point and direct the crew. Along the outer walkways are the other squires, apart from Erix, who is with his knight. The rest of the pack are there. I hurry over. Hey, Corwan. Zarya greets me, though with none of her normal jovial demeanor. She's currently focused on Alex's armor, checking to ensure everything is on and functioning correctly. He will then in turn check hers, so that means... fuck. Brut is currently hunched over the armory packs, checking inventory and what has been assigned. Beyond the current case, which has 4 wolf packs inside, there are the swords and shield cases. Default loadout. Makes sense given how we haven't been approved for anything more specific yet. I walk up to the squatted wolf just as he finishes with the clips and stands. Squire Brut, let me do final checks. I try to keep a level head, but even the sight of him makes me want to punch him. It's only levied by the fact that he looks serious. He simply stands upright, turns his back to me, and then raises his arms. It's an invitation for me to do the check without a single sneer or comment. I am quick, though thorough, with the inspection. I check for spaces in the armor or misconnected parts. As I go, I also use my STIK to ensure that the readings are nominal. His heart rate is up, but that is more than understandable given the situation. He turns and then checks the front. I confirm the Aegis is connected and synced. With a nod, I close the STIK. We then reverse our positions. Brut's paws aren't gentle. He completes the examination with aggressive insistency, paws knocking and shaking me as he goes. It feels more like him testing the armor than checking it. After he also checks me with his STIK, he gives me a curt, silent nod. I'm about to check the weapons, but he grasps me by the shoulders with both paws. I look him in the eyes as he drills into mine. We're gonna fucking get them. I'm going to destroy them. All of them. Don't slow me. Any of us. Down. He lets go and then moves away. All I can do is bend over, the case as a heat of anger creeps up my neck and cheeks, not wanting to rise to his insufferable doubts. You okay, Corwan? Did Brut say something to you? Alex crouches next to me. I hadn't noticed that he and Zarya had finished up their own checks. Yeah, I'm fine. Just Brut being his usual daisy fresh self. Understood. He seems even more prickly than usual. Has been ever since the announcement. Alex pauses to look over at Brut. He's tapping the railing that he's leaning over, focused on the movements and discussions of the crew below. I'll be honest, I recognize that rage in him. It'll be on us to reel him in if he tries to overextend. Despite what we all think of him, none of us want to lose Brut. A part of me would very much like to argue that point with Alex, but he is right. I might dislike Brut's attitude, but I'll still fight tooth and nail to keep him as safe as the rest of us. I grunt affirmatively at Alex. I busy myself with doing my own check and then take up my arsenal. Alex pats my shoulder as he stands before he leaves me to it. Once I calibrate my STIK to the weapons and made sure the configurations of each are correct, I stand, feeling sufficiently cooled off. Zarya is doing a few test swings with her sword. As I watch her, she finishes up her drill and then sheathes the blade. I prefer to have my own arms cleared, but I can use this well enough. Though Cyrox says it's better to avoid them getting close enough to begin with. She looks at the wolf pack remaining for her. She huffs and then wrinkles her nose. She picks it up after a moment, sinks to it, and then swings it across her back. She looks at me with her ears down. We're going to be alright, aren't we, Corwan? We'll all come home safe, right? You'll help me if I can't shoot anything properly? It's the most nervous that I've seen her. I reach over to take her paws in my hands. I can feel the slight tremble and her body travel down them. She's scared. Yeah, of course, Zarya. We'll bring everyone back, and you'll hit more of them than I will. I'm sure. I have your back, and you got mine, right? I'm scared too. Brut's actions might have filled me with momentary anger, but I am afraid. It's real now. We'll soon see the plague and be fighting them. Zarya pulls me into a tight hug. We stay there for a minute, just taking in each other's strength. Her whiskers press into my cheek, and I can smell the spices of her shampoo. She must have been showering right before we got the call to action. It's only as the ship rumbles from deep below and various calls for pre-collapse measures are shouted out that she lets me go. Sorry. Yeah, we got this. We join the others as we assemble in front of Jays at their central position. Alright, squires, you all look very nice in your new armor. We'll be jumping in a moment. Once my patty here warms up, they're a beaut and will operate as a central point for all of your knights. Jace flexes her arms and spreads them around with a flourish. In time, we'll train you to man Patty's impressively long-range arsenal. For this engagement, we'll be shitting you down planet-side. Aren't you glad that I let you all experience it earlier? Their grin is self-congratulatory. We're really going to land on the invaded world and support from there? The plague have appeared in the Labari system, targeting their only occupied world, Sudarux. It's a claim world, made habitable 50 years ago. Therefore, all settlements have been designed with bunkers for sheltering the people safely in just such a scenario. Jace checks a holoscreen as they read off the details. Areas chosen are locked in. Get down, set a trench up, keeping an eye out for any stragglers that try to deploy land units, and then watch us soar. Collapse jump in 10. All of you to be in pods ready to drop in 5. March, squires! They bellow out the last words. We turn sharply and then march out of the bridge. I wave quickly to Erox as we go. He gives me a smile before Jez starts hollering again, and then he runs to follow their orders. Before I know it, I'm in my assigned pod and ready. Alone, I feel the weight, but taking deep and long breaths. We'll be there soon. It'll be such a whirlwind that I can barely keep track of everything that occurred in the last few hours, let alone days. In a few short moments, we travel via collapse and arrive right away. Maros always explained the KAU travel system simply. He said that Exceed, which was travel between fixed points, was like being on a rail. It was a safer, mapped route that avoided systems and zones that could interfere with the transport. Collapse was different. Maros likened it to folding a sheet of paper over on itself to make 2 points touch, almost instantaneously travel. The difficulties came in the power needed to generate that level of spatial twisting. This is why dropships employ Dyson spheres as both engines and engine sources. The list of systems that use every part and type of siphoned power from the star is impressive and incredibly efficient. munitions and part manufacturings which are essential for continued engagements, atmospheric controls to keep us breathing, but also extending from the ship to prevent rapid decompression incidents. Speed of light conduits ferry this power all over the ship. Morals always gushed over how the ships were like entire ecosystems. And of course, in dire need, they could be used as last-ditch attacks against the plague, a decision that rested very heavily on every night captain's shoulders. I am not sure if I could make that choice, and I do not envy Jazz for that duty. Speaking of the captain, their voice comes in from the pod speaker. Alright, all stations listen up. We're about to jump into battle. Fresh blood, try not to stain your new gear. Trust in each other and your training. Old hands, try not to embarrass me in front of the babes. Let's put on a good show. Knights of Lunar Unit, let's show these Raptor lot how it's done. All knights saddled and ready. Steeds are raring to go. Combined Chimera units confirmed and ready. That's right, our packs are joining the remainder of the active Raptor packs. When that happens, the temporary unit formation becomes a Chimera for the first time. Collapse jump mark in 5, 4... I take a long breath in and hold it. Exhale on the mark, Corwan. 3, 2, 1. Mark! I exhale through gritted teeth as everything around me shudders and strains. If the XC transport had been a train on rails, then collapsing is like being on a roller coaster. It feels like my very core is being twisted and bent into conflicting directions while also being squeezed through the thinnest aperture. Then a rush. Like water bursting through a dam and breaking free, I feel myself and the surroundings snap back to normal. I gulp in a breath and then stare at the monitor as it flicks on, showing us the outside situation. It's them. Siege ships deployed. All crew engage. Scan the sector for more of them and get me a lock on the core ship. Bringing us around the far side of Satruxia's moon. Squires, prepare for plantfall. It happens fast. Jazz barks out orders. The ship's cannons fire and strike into the swarm of small ships surrounding the larger core plague ship. The hairs on my neck and arms rise as I watch us maneuver around the planet's moons. Streaks of light and explosions come from our own side as the battery cannons fire their targets. I try to keep track of the night's steeds fire our impacts, blasting through the entire clusters of plague. I feel a combination of awe and fear as our ships weave through the battlefield, grouping up and feinting the horde as they try to stop them. It's a dance, the one the knights are leading. I'm worried, but I place my hand on my chest. No pain yet, and the auxiliary feedback is giving me a gentle trickle of concentration and determination. Calbex is fine. He's fighting, and he's in control. I try to calm myself, think positively, think about being brave and getting through this. The sharing of pain and stimulus is the goal, but the Aegis did have an unpreventable and unattainable part that has long become a cornerstone of a knight in a squire's role. It also shares emotions. I can feel what Calbex is feeling and vice versa. Remain calm for your knights. Make sure that you hold hope and support in your heart. Let them know that what they are fighting for and who they are protecting. Ground them, swallow their fear, shoulder their doubts, embrace their uncertainty, and return every question with certainty. Keep fighting. You can do it. We believe in you. And I do. Calbex can do this. Plague land activity scan complete. Negligible units deployed. Landing zones designated between settlement and harvesting sites. Clear shot lined up. Time to get your parts wet, squires. Stay safe. Firing on my mark. Right. There is still a duty to perform, and there are people that I can save. It's time, Corwan. Time to fight. Mark! Unlike our earlier fall, where I felt a degree of exhilaration, now my stomach is filled with a dreadful anticipation. There is no time. Before I can think more about it, the pods break through the clouds, and I see the planet's surface below. I can immediately tell that it's a new world. The land still has patches and sections where the foliage hasn't fully taken yet. The sections of woods are small and sporadic, although I can still see the design and where, in time, great sweeping forests will exist. The earth that hasn't been claimed by the flora has a deep purple hue to it. From this vantage point, I can make out some settlements, nestled like oases in the terrain. The landing destination is set. I read over the screens, checking on variations and if any manual adjustments are needed. None. I look to the right and flick through the screen readings for plague activity. The display shows the scanned entities the dropship had tagged before we were deployed. The pods do additional scans as well in case of abnormal or smaller units that the ship might have missed. There don't appear to be any more that have landed. Our rapid responses likely prevented it. That could change at a moment's notice. The pods are aimed to put squires between the plague and the shelters. Jez has split our packs up to protect each of those areas. Even if we only deter the advance, it's better to lose planetary matter than people. A beep sounds, a proximity alert flashes on the monitors indicating that landing is imminent. I retract my hand to grip onto the supporters. The alert stops a moment before the pod thuds as it hits the dirt. I clutch the handles tighter to stop from being thrown about as the pod violently shudders before coming to a rest. I take a moment to do additional scans. No point rushing in and being blindsided. Good, the plague are still a ways off. I activate the door release, my right hand resting on the hilt of my sword in case something slipped through the scan. When nothing strikes immediately, I move out of the hatch cautiously. Zarias is the closest pod to mine and she is already out and removing the excavator tools from the pod capsule. I join her, retrieving my own. The compartment on the hull pops open, giving me quick access. Here, Corwan, sync up on my left. She calls me over as she chooses a position on the ground to start. Working together, we slaughter pieces together and position to compensate apparatuses on the Earth. She maintains watch as I use my STIK to activate it. Beeping, the machine opens its segments and a drill protrudes from below. With a whirl, it starts boring into the ground. Across from us, Brut and Alex have linked theirs up too. With a quick interface between our STIKs, the two machines set their parameters. I have to leap to one side as the first block flies out of the machines like a printer. Within a few minutes, they will dig us a trench. Depending on what kind of plague appears, we will use this for cover and to return fire. I look up. The clouds are flashing green. The green storm descends again. Corwan! Corwan! No, not now. It's different now. It's not going to turn out like that. I'll stop it. We'll stop it. I secure my sword and shield before I pull out my wolf pack, clenching the grip and resetting my gaze on the horizon. Every rustle or movement from the tree line or flick of grass catches and holds my attention. Would they have deployed minor units this early? We wait in silence as we keep watch. The flashes and the occasional rumble of thunderous explosions within the stratosphere are the only things that punctuate the wait. Our fight might be a possibility, but each of us still feels the current fight going on above, a twinge here or a throb there. Every time I see one of them wince, I flinch as well, expecting the worst. Turns out having faith is not so easy after all, if I'm shocked by this. Still, there are a few moments when a plague ship breaks through the clouds, driving down to the planet in attempts to gather resources and then hauls them back up. Each one is met with either a hail of gunfire or the welcome sight of a cavalry ship bursting through after them, destroying them before jetting back out of view. Apart from those moments, everything is stilled anticipation. Brut clearly handles the weight the worst out of all of us. His leg taps, and he constantly fiddles with his firearm. He changes his grip and stance, reacting to every breath or noise someone makes as they shift. He stares down the open stretch to the woodlands with such an intensity. I feel he's on the verge of bolting out of the trench and sprinting straight into the tree line any moment. Watching him is putting me more on edge. I should say something about, there! Brut's bark makes us jolt. He stabs his whole right arm forward, pointing at the top of some of the trees slightly further in. I'm not sure what he spotted at first. Then a few start to sway. It's not the wind. No, it's more like something is pushing them aside. Those trees are thicker than I am tall. Whatever it is, it's big. Fauna index for this planet shows nothing of that size. It's likely a plague unit. I expect a fright class, maybe a lumberjack. The shifting of the trees suggests bigger. Alex opens his eyes after a moment. He confirmed the data using the interface accessories which glows in the sequence from his ear to his tail. I have to ask him about those after this. Enter the trench then. We have the high ground. We can observe what creeps out and then attack. You too, Brut. Brut! I turn from stepping into the trench to see Zarya grabbing Brut by the arm. He stares at the trees not moving, but definitely straining against the hold. I'm about to step back up to help Zarya out before Brut huffs, turns, and then quickly moves into the trench. He shoves past me and then, using the lip of the trench to keep his arm steady, he takes aim. Through the helmet, I can see him raise his hackles as he shuffles impatiently. He's trying to get comfortable with his wolfpack laid over the edge of the trench, ready to fire in an instant. Alex leans back from Brut's left side, giving me a look of concern. We don't need a loose cannon with an itchy trigger finger engaging before we coordinate. Brut, I know you want to shoot them, and we're gonna get them, right? But only when we agree to. Right? Brut? I ask. I don't want to reach out and touch him in his current state, but I move close enough to see his eyes flick in my direction, if only for a moment before refocusing forwards. I know. He's panting quickly, but slows as he growls out his response. I guess I'll have to take his word for it. I line myself up to his right as Zarya jumps down to my right. The three of us take similar positions to Brut, leaning over the top of the trench to take aim. With the angles that we have, there is a clear line of sight down into the little valley. The trench is long enough that we can duck and move along if we need to reposition or take cover. We have the advantage, but that could all change in an instant once we engage. Now we wait again. This time, the rumble overhead intersects with the creaking of the trees as whatever it is moves ever closer, still out of sight. Everything heightens as I focus, the weight of the firearm in my grip, the pounding of my heart beating in the anticipation, the smell of the meal Kalbix and I had shared just a short while ago as my breath fogs the helmet slightly. Then it appears. Merciful stones! It's a butcher! Stalking out of the final few trees, its numerous legs push and scuttle its bulbous body along with effort. It's a worm-like aperture of whirling, teeth-like parts, with tendrils and mandibles for funneling material into its maw flexing like antenna. A butcher. Unlike a lumberjack that harvests trees and other floral material, the butcher is a fauna tissue scavenger and one of the deadliest classes of land plague. I can see why. It's huge. The added horrifying reality that we very much count as targetable material makes this an enemy that we can't afford to take lightly. The people in the shelters nearby could be reaped to. If this thing discovers them, they will all be massacred, even if the forces in orbit are driven away. We have to make sure that it doesn't happen. What's the plan? Even if there were more of us, that thing is not going down easily. We can hear her clearly through the helmet comms, despite the fact that she's whispering. The butcher moves its head around as if to pick up the scent of prey. Alex looks at Brut, who is clenching his jaw. I hope that he can hear us and that he hasn't moved yet. We'll take it from both sides. Zarya, Brut, use covering fire to keep it distracted and on guard. Corwan and I will take targeted shots while openings appear. Zarya, move further down the trench, that way. I'll take the left. We nod as he talks and points down where he and Zarya will go. Corwan, you stay next to Brut and weave between his shots. You're the best marksman we have, so I know that you can do it. You okay with that, Brut? He tentatively places a paw on Brut's back. Brut finally blinks and then looks at Alex with clarity. Yeah, I heard you. Let's take this garbage disposal junk down. If it gets as close as that rock over there, we'll engage it up close, flank it, avoid the mouth, cripple its fucking legs, and then slaughter it. Despite his colorful description, it is good to see that he has his head in gear. We nod at the plan and then start moving. I move a little down from Brut, knowing how his arcs fired at the range. I want a little distance to focus properly. Alex and Zarya move away to their positions. I check my sword and loosen it from the sheath a little, just in case the butcher moves close suddenly. We got this. Finally get to pay him back. Fuck it up, right? Right. Come on. Get ready already. Brut is muttering more so to himself than to me. He flicks his attention between observing the prowling plague and Alex and Zarya, who signal that they are now in their spots. I settle into my own position slowly. The butcher still has not detected us. We have to make this count. Breathe. And aim. Alex's voice comes through the comms. Ready. On my mark, commence. 3, 2, 1, engage. Rah! Brut's roar, along with the first stream from his muzzle, fires down upon the butcher, who only has time to rear its head at the sound before being pelted with its barrage. Yeah, you fucking take it, you cobbled together shit heap. I stare down at the sights of the butcher. Zarya's shots start to impact as it wavers, deciding what to do. Her light shots aren't piercing its shell, but they are landing and clearly confusing it momentarily. One of its back legs creaks at a joint as Alex's shot strikes true. That gets its attention. The plague's head whips around to where Alex's shot came from. Even though he's ducked and into the trench, its head remains fixed on the location, its mouth appendage flicked out, as if tasting the air for his scent. Now is my chance. Bullseye, one of its mandibles, flies off. It shakes its head, appearing hurt. My jubilation is short-lived as it lowers its body and then starts surging up the incline towards us, weaving in a serpentine fashion. Hold the line! Push it back! We all start firing. Its pattern of movement is erratic to avoid concentrated fire, and our shots scatter around it without much success. Shit, it's going to be on us soon if we don't pin it down. I toggle to heavy and start shooting at the ground ahead of where the butcher is going to be. If I can't hit it, I can maybe deter it and force it into a better pattern. Alex, help me funnel it. Brut, Zarya, blast it. Alex immediately picks up on my idea and lays down heavy fire to its opposing side. It works somewhat, the weaving becoming less severe as the butcher dodges the impacts and narrows its movements. That's it. Keep the fucker pinned. Brut whops as he concentrates his fire on the plague, switching between shots. Zarya's own barrage impacts its sides. Brut's leaning over the edge of the trench more and more, but I don't have the moment to yank it back. Still, it's working. We can really do this. Pieces of its shell blast off. 2, no 3. More legs shatter, making it scuttling less graceful. It's still closing the gap, though hobbled as it is, the butcher has enough momentum and legs to make it up the incline. In moments, it will be within striking range. I take a second to loosen my sword from its sheath. The benefit of melee combat is that the plague react poorly than they do to range combat. Some strategies even call for it as a preferred method of taking them down. I guess the flaws and the benefits of unpredictability are even more heavily displayed in the moment-by-moment changes and choices in a brawl. The downside is, well, this thing is fucking huge, and it's a plague designed to target life forms, meat, us. It's more suited to up close and personal. Keep up the fire. Get it limping before it reaches us. Zarya, be ready to engage with blade. Brut? I guess go Pharaoh? More legs. It needs to lose more legs. It's so close now, we need to incapacitate it so it can't turn as fast. I wriggle up and out of the trench, and then lie flat on the ground. I just need a clear line. I can sense Brut react, though he doesn't make to stop me. He and everyone else disappears as I focus and watch it get closer. Zarya's impacts are mostly being ignored, though some are hitting between the cracks that we've made and it's jostling slightly. With Alex's continued efforts, it is leaning askew, putting more weight on its left legs for stability. Breathe in. Hold it. Wait. There. I squeeze the trigger and send a burst. The heavy shots hum as they leave the barrel and rocket towards my target. The butcher moves to avoid my shot, but a clean hit from Alex interrupts it. I watch as the 2 legs joints I shot are exploded and then the whole thing topples and careens into the dirt. Yes, you fuck. You fuck, ha! Brut growls behind me, but there isn't a further second to celebrate afforded as the behemoth spasms and tries to right itself. It is still active and still very much a threat. Brut leaps up and out of the trench, sword drawn, shield forward. His feet impact close to my head. The others are scrambling up and forward too. Alex has his own sword poised like a fencer as he moves around the plague, cautiously stalking it. Zarya's fists glow as she comes in from right, clenching her own sword tightly. Her head is down, watching for the right moment. A wounded animal is dangerous. A plague that can feel no pain designed to consume and is injured is deadly. I start to push myself up, but Brut just points his sword at me and then flicks it back towards the trench. No, we'll take it from here. You aim and shoot when it's distracted. I'm not sure how to feel about being told to stay back. Was he insulting my close-range fighting or commending my firing? There isn't much time. He turns back to his foe and then leaps forward, narrowly avoiding a limb aimed to grab and deposit him in its writhing maw. The butcher lashes out with tendrils and claws, the screech as they rake across the shields or the thunderous thuds as they clash through the earth. It's terrifying. Anyone could do serious damage. Even this injured, it's keeping us on defensive. Brut is even keeping his shield up as it lashes out in all directions. With its thrashing on proximity and finding it harder to line up any shots, I only manage a pepper of light across it here and there as I move down our trench further to get a better distance. Grah! Got ya! I pop out of the trench fearing the worst. Instead, she has managed to catch one of the butcher's mouth's tendrils in her right elbow and is holding firm, preventing it from churning more. The glow on her joints pulse deep with heavy energy as she both grips and crushes the appendage, holding tight. Now, Brut! Alex hollers from the other side, moving in for a strike. He stabs deep in between the plague's armor, while Brut takes in from the front, slashing across it with tremendous heavy blows. Platings get stuck off with a screech, exposing the vulnerable inner components to Brut's continued onslaught. Its head being restricted by Zarya's grip gives me the opening that I need. I take up a steady stance again and flick to heavy, leveling the sights. Whoa, yeah! Get it, Corwan! 3 solid hits, parts of its faceplate, one of its mandibles, and the last cleanly inside the whirling blender of its mouth. It's taken some substantial damage now, which is good. The bad news is that it is most definitely pissed. Shit, I can't hold it! Back up, lads! The butcher strains against Zarya's hold, and she's slipping. Brut and Alex reposition shields in front of Zarya, giving them just enough time to clear out before letting go. Zarya leaps away, but not before the butcher swings at her with its back portion, impacting her side with a sickening crunch. Zarya! I scream into my comms from my position. I can't see her. All I can imagine is a worse. I want to run and check, but I have to keep point. Oof. I'm alright. It sure packs a wallop. Keep on it. The plague is turning slowly towards her to finish the job. Alex and Brut move in to harry its sides, but they still have to watch out as it lashes at them. No, you don't. Get back here, you fucker. The butcher stops moving. The impact across its back cracks like overcooked nuts shattering open. It turns. Its head is staring right at me. Something happens. Inherent recognition? It shifts. Abrupt. How can it still move like that? Its failing legs and writhing body surge towards me. I dully hear the others in my helmet yelling. My heartbeat is louder. It's going to eat me. It's going to eat me? Fuck that. I bring up my weapon in a single fluid motion. Part of my mind feels like it's lagging behind the action, as if I'm moving through molasses, but my desire is burning forth. Not this time. Right into its awful mouth. It rides, halting its deadly approach. Got you! Now die! Brut rushes in, taking advantage of its faltering. He drives his sword into its underbelly, deep purple bursts around its blade as it finds its mark. It stops moving. With a groan, the heavy body of the butcher topples. It almost crushes Brut, but he manages to scamper clear just in time. We did it. We did it. Alex comes around the plague's side as Zarya clambers over part of its body, whooping. Oh yeah, now that was a workout and a half. Laughing, she jumps down. It quickly transforms into a hiss, and then a soft wince. Alex moves over to check on her, but she waves at him to not bother. I'm okay, really. I took the blow on these buttes, and they absorbed most of the shock. Just winded is all. Really need to get him approved. It feels much better than being hands-on. She's beaming like a maniac as she flexes her arms and grins. My own mouth mirrors hers. We really did it, and all of us came out alive. I'm jubilant. Yeah, fuck you, slag. Worthless fucking pile of shit. Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. Brut's victory roars are only matched by the repeated stabbings he makes into the plague's corpse. No chance it's going to rise up unexpectedly for another round with him, carving into it like that. Alex comes over and then pulls me into a hug. I returned it earnestly. Corwan, you did marvelously. Truly wonderful shots. You simply must show me how you gleam such amazing calls when next we're on the range. I can feel his body vibrating with happy huffs as his tail coils around my legs entirely. Anytime. I can't believe we did it. You all held your own up in its face. I don't know if I could have dodged it as well as you lot. I'm released from the hug and we observe the plague. Even unmoving, it is a horror to behold. I'm awash with the giddy success, but I also feel a wave of relief and pride flown over me, not my own. I place a hand over the Aegis' plate. Calpix must have felt our victory. I'm safe, big guy. You stay safe too. Grr, grah, rah. I'm brought back planet-side by Brut's yell. It wasn't a battle cry or a victorious one. No, it was one of pure pain that sends an icy chill into the pit of my stomach. Brut? Zarya rushes over to his side. He's dropped his sword and it's stooped over, his body shaking and convulsing. Alex and I hurry to him as well. Scanning the surroundings, it doesn't appear like a new threat has snuck up on us. Zarya looks at the two of us after her own examination, eyes wide. It's his Aegis! Coming closer, I can see his helmet fogging with his breath as he spasms, body folding over. Shit. Let's get him back to the trench. Alex moves to his left side and helps Zarya lift him up by his arms and half carry him, half drag Brut back to our dugout. I maintain watch as we retreat. Now would be an awful time to have anything catch us unawares. The woods, the meadow. No movement. I take a look at the skyline, still bristling with green flashes from the combat above. I haven't spotted any more ships descending. What the fuck is going on? Fuck. Urgh. It's all right, Brut. Breathe. Stones be damned. Corwan, help me get his helmet off. I turn back to my pack. Brut is on the ground, leaning against the trench wall, with Alex kneeling beside him. As I go to assist Alex, Zarya gives me a grim nod and swaps posts with me. She steps out of the trench to maintain watch. Coming closer, I can see Brut's Aegis glowing with activity. It's still receiving a signal. He's still taking on pain. That means Fen is still hurting. Something has happened to the commander. I assist Alex, finding the clasp on Brut's helmet. We manage to release it and then pull it off of him. Brut gasps in a fresh lungful of air as we do. His breath's heavy and haggard. Tears streak his fur. It's frightening to see him like this. Hey, Brut, stay with us. You got this. You can do this. I mutter at him, not sure what else to say. He might be a red, giant-sized prick, but I still hate seeing him in pain. I wish that I could link my Aegis up and take some of it. I feel helpless. A first surge racks his body as he convulses again. He held up in training so well. Why the fuck is this devastating him now? Brut, focus on me. Focus on here and now. Don't let this consume you. Alex is clutching Brut's left arm, shaking him softly to try to rouse him from the pain spiral. He looks just as concerned as I am. I pull off my helmet and then put it down next to me. I grab Brut's face, trying to get him to look at me. Come on, Brut. Don't you want to spit some insult at me? Hey, you got the killing blow on the butcher, didn't you? Didn't that feel good? Come on, Brut. Think about how great it will feel to rub this in the others' faces. I'm rambling, saying anything that I can think of. Brut needs a distraction. He needs to rise over the pain right now. But he can't. His breaths are labored. Froth is forming at the corners of his mouth. Merciful stars. He's burning up. He's caught up in the transmission. He's going to go into Aegis Shock at this rate. Brut could die. Fucking damn it. Alex is right. Brut's mind is wrapped up in the pain being sent to him. If he can't get through this, his body could shut down. Brut, hey, Brut, snap out of this. Think of anything else, anything. Leave, you utter asshole. You don't get to be such a dick and then go and die right away, you hear me? He doesn't. I don't think that he does. He's shaking more and his eyes are starting to roll back in his skull. Every time that I shake him, it only keeps him on our side for a moment. What can I do? He's not listening. He needs something to separate him from the pain, something real, here to keep him grounded. I can't slap him. More actual pain isn't going to help. He's just barely responding to my touch. Fuck. He's going to die in this ditch. Isn't there anything that I can... Wait. Different stimuli, maybe? Fuck it. I grab his face with both of my hands and then turn him to me. His eyes have rolled into their skull. I shake him again, just enough for his eyes to temporarily focus on me. Then I lean in and kiss him. Well, not much of a kiss. In my panic, it was more slamming my face to his and our lips impacting. I hold him there for a moment, feeling and watching, seeing if it works. This is so stupid. Wait. His twitching stops. He is breathing through his nose. It's hot against my cheek. His lips move against mine. I pull back. Did this insane idea actually work? The fuck? He croaks out and then hiccups. You have to be kidding me. Alex grabs my shoulder and leans forward to look at Brut closely. Brut? Are you with us? Brut lazily looks at Alex and drools on his muzzle as he pants for a breath. Why? Oh fuck, it hurts! He clenches his jaw again. The event isn't over. The pain is still surging through him. That was a moment of reprieve, but he's seizing up again. Brut, focus. You need to focus on me, on us. Do I need to kiss you again, you prick? I'm trying to make a joke, but this time Brut is the one who punches his muzzle up to meet my lips. The action is too quick to react to, and once again, I am pressed against the wolf's face. His mouth is ajar as we kiss. With each new spasm of pain delivered to him, his breath hitches. Does he really need this? I return the kiss with more intention, stroking the underside of his jaw to offer some more concrete, divergent stimulation. You're fucking insane. He breaks the kiss long enough to complain. A fresh attack urges him to return his mouth to mine. He's fervently engaging in it now. You aren't my first pick either, Brut. I break off the contact and try to observe him for positive signs. His eyes are locked with mine, and his breathing is slowly calming, in between hitches when he spasms and groans. What's going on down there? Is Brut okay? Zarya calls over her shoulder, turning her head to steal a quick glance at the situation. She does a double take with a slack jaw without saying another word. She forces her gaze back upwards. Corwan has, come up with an innovative solution that appears to be assisting. Alex replies with a slight blush on his cheeks. I don't blame him. In all my training, I've never heard of locking lips as a means to keep someone from pain overload. I swear if you tell anyone about this, fuck. I assume that's directed at me, but it probably includes all of us. I don't exactly want this on my record either. Keep the conversation going. He presses more of himself into me. The kisses intermingled with gasps and shudders. He's teetering. I don't know what is happening above with the knights, but Fen is still engaged with them. He's still being hurt, and Brut is still wavering. He can't. Fuck. I don't even like you. The pain is still pulling him from the situation. Between ravaging, urgent kissing, his hips thrust against me enough to show that regardless of the situation, part of him is concentrating on this. I can't. It's too much. His jaw clenches again as he stops moving against me and instead shudders. His paws that had gripped me firmly throughout our makeout session start to let go as he sags back. I grab him to stop him from falling away and then shake him again. Hey, don't go limp on me now. Brut, stay with me. He yelps again with a fresh surge of pain, but he's still fading. It's not enough. It almost was, but he is still slipping back into the quagmire of agony pulsating through him. What else is there? What more can I? Hey, Brut. Me. His eyes almost rolled back into his head, but then they zero in on mine. You? No, Brut. Well, yes, the kiss was helping. Do more, if you want. If it will help. You react to the opposite stimulation. Do more. Can you? I swear that I can feel Alex's mouth drop and hear Zarya's neck muscles creak as she turns to look at us. They don't matter. Only Brut's survival matters. Yeah, it's stupid. And if I get court-martialed, so fucking be it. If you have any better ideas to stop yourself from dying, I'm all ears. Brut looks back at me incredulously. The moment continues in silence as his jaw moves wordlessly before another crippling Fine. I hate this. Sweat has soaked his fur, and his breathing is still haggard. He leans back and then starts fumbling with his armor, disengaging the seals around his hips, eyes closed. Aw shit, we're actually doing this. I do the same with my own armor, chucking it off into the mud. Brut's ears perk up at my movements before folding back against his head. He fumbles with his mesh, stopping to shudder with pain now and again, or maybe to come to terms with what is about to happen. I lean back against the trench wall and look up at the roiling green clouds. I shake my head at the ridiculousness of the situation, closing my eyes and listening to my heart pound. I lower my undergarments and expose myself to the open air, mud from the trench smearing my buttocks. He eventually opens his eyes and then looks down at me, panting. I can't tell if he's sickened, proud, thankful, or any particular combination. But he's alive. You're fucking welcome, Brut. I pant out and he growls at me, likely about to bite back a response. He swallows it and instead just shakes his head. What the actual fuck? He isn't shuddering any more than the occasional tremor. I think Commander Fenn's situation must be better now, right? So, quite the solution. Corwan, you really are... I mean, I am bewildered and amazed by your, strategy. Alex is still looking out into the valley. I am so glad that nothing started while Brut's situation was handled. I think that it would be prudent for all of our sakes if we could keep this between us, don't you think? Brut pushes off of me after that. He then starts rubbing the mess from his fur with pawfuls of dirt, keeping his head down and muttering back. Yeah, I don't want any of this to spread about. Not a word. Ever. Even bashful, his prickly side shows through. In this case, I agree. I may have said that I'd take responsibility for this, but I certainly don't want to if I can help it. Zarya nods and keeps staring away. From her posture, I think that she may be embarrassed as well, or flustered. I look up at the sky. The flashing has stopped. I wonder if that... Our STIKs go off. I fumble to reach mine, but Alex is quick on relaying the message. It's from Captain Jay's. The plague have been pushed to retreat. The Knights are clearing through any remnants, but there have been no fatalities. We did it. As soon as it had all started, it's over. Well, our part is. The planet still got hit. We arrived relatively fast, but I can't guess what has been taken from them. Recovery and additional defense measures will be sent to help these people get back on their feet and restart their lives. But they're alive. They have their lives, and we helped. After shuffling my suit back on, I crawl up to the edge of the trench. I look at the fallen butcher. We really stopped something awful from happening. Even with the ache in my rear, I can't help but feel amazing. It was all worth it. What? What about Fenn? Brut pulled on his own STIK out and is scrolling through the message log. His ship has sustained some damage. He's returned to the dropship for medical care. He's alive, Brut. Brut deflates and keeps reading to confirm everything Zarya said. Pickup will be here soon. Let's get ready. All right, everyone. He turns to face me, though I notice that he's looking awkward. I guess he's still unsettled by what was done. He offers me his paw, though, and I take it. I let him pull me up and away from the trench. Thanks. No problem. You did good, Corwan. Really. Unorthodox, and I would not wish this to become a regular means of action, but your quick thinking may have well saved Brut's life. Oh, yeah. Thanks? I still don't know what I was thinking. You did well against the Butcher too, don't forget. What bad luck that we had to encounter one in our first engagement. We stare at it. It feels like hours ago that we fought it. It still doesn't seem real that we took it down, just the four of us. We watch it for a while longer until Brut yells at us to come help prep for pickup. We journey back to the dropship in quiet contemplation. Alex offers to complete the mission, reporting as we go, accounting for our movements and strategy. I spend the entire time looking back at Sotroxus. I feel like I can see its scars, but it's not Foro. There are no broken continents, nor viewable damage, even though it's doubtless there. What little the plague had managed to scour and steal would still be missed, however Sotroxus will recover. I allow myself to smile. As we pull into the bay and then the transporter opens, we are greeted by a very anxious bear. Erix almost throws himself at us the moment that we are in arm's reach. Oh my gosh, guys, I was so worried about you and Whoa. Slow down there, Erix. We're okay. We're all okay. Are you? Erix takes a few sniffling breaths as he hugs all of us, minus Brut, one by one. Yeah, I'm alright. It was so scary though. Alex pats his back, consolingly. We all had quite the scare ourselves on the ground. I can only imagine how it was to engage the plague in swarm. Oh, I mean, yeah, that was scary and I was scared for you guys too. But the scariest thing was all the shouting Jace was doing. Trying to follow their orders was so hard. I thought that I was going to have a heart attack. There was a moment of silence between us before Zarya breaks it with a snort. Wait, you were more scared of Jace than the plague? Wow, Erix, I misjudged you. You're brave in a weird way. Erix blushes brightly at that and waves his paws defensively. No, I wasn't saying that it wasn't scary. I was super scared, but Jace is so much more terrifying when they're shouting. They had this manic grin the whole time, even while their orders were so precise. The bear shivers and I'm half a mind that he had it worse than us. As the others recount our battles against the Butcher to Erix, we walk deeper into the ship. I'm not really paying attention to where Erix is leading us until we reach a junction. The smell of medicinal fluids breaks my stride. Oh, Erix, do we need to get checked for injuries? I don't think any of us suffered wounds. Well, Jace told me to bring you all to be checked regardless because of the aftershock of the Aegis. And it's standard after any engagement. He looks apologetic at us before addressing Brut, who has been silent the whole time. But Brut, Commander Finn asked to see you as soon as you were back. He's in the recovery ward down the... Brut hurries down the hallway. Erix gestures at. He disappears out of sight. To be honest, I do the same. I hope that both of them are going to be alright. I'm about to ask which room that I should go to when I see him. Calbex is coming down the corridor towards us. He's unharmed. He's okay. I stop myself from sprinting to meet him, but I can't hold back my smile. He has an odd expression on his face. His arms move as if he's going to hug me at first, before he returns them to his sides instead. Corwan, you are back. Yes, safe and sound. You too. His expression melts into actual relief as he smiles at me. Damn, he looks so young when he smiles. So we are. I guess our first mission is a success, then. Anything of note to report? My stomach leaps as I immediately think about what transpired in the trench, but I stammer past it. Oh, no. I mean, yes, we took on a Butcher. Just the one, and then it was over. He stares at me strangely, but just as fast sighs, and then moves closer to me. It might have been harrowing, but I feel that I proved that I can survive. I can fight, and I can win. I want a thorough recounting of that. Butchers are savage opponents, and we can discuss things to do better, or differently, next time. For now, we should clean up and prepare for debriefing. After that, we can go home. Kalbeck starts walking down the corridor, looking back when I don't immediately follow him. Home? He smiles again, so warm and inviting. Yeah, Corwan. Let's go back to our home. We both did well. My heart thumps. I take a few shaky steps before falling in line. Yeah, I want to go home. Together. And that is the end of the update. So first and foremost, let's talk about the scene that you didn't get to see. So in that scene, for obvious reasons, I can't show you what Corwan and Brut do, but they do it. And as the little thing that I put said, Brut puts his sour cream inside of Corwan's burrito. That should be plenty image enough for you. But also first, come on, show it already. Show it. There we go. Cryptid dog of Roads Yet Traveled made that one background for Jay's little command thing, I guess, where he was like using like the little screens and stuff like that. That was scripted. What else? Okay, let's go back to what happened. So, as you can see, one of the things that gets transmitted aside from the pain, because I mean that's the very obvious one, is the emotions. So the squires are instructed to basically have faith and then feel like they're prepared and that they believe in whatever in their knight and what their knight can do in order so that the knight can be full of resolve or whatever, I guess. Which I mean in theory sounds good, I guess. It's sort of like psychologically prepping them for what they have to do, which again in theory sounds good. But I mean, that also might have a drawback of like, let's say something is happening to the squire and they get scared. Maybe sort of like with what happened to Brut. I'm pretty sure that he was not exactly happy with what was happening to him right there, that he thought he was gonna die. Because I mean, he was about to die from the Aegis Shock. So I'm pretty sure that aside from being thankful that Fen is alive, Brut is also probably going like, oh crap, did Commander Fen also sort of feel what I was feeling? Because as you can see right there in the little animation for the menu, the Aegis system goes both ways, as also Corwan was mentioning. Corwan. I don't know why I want to say it Corwan instead of Corwan. Whatever. What else? I'm also wondering if this means that Calbex also felt what was going on between Corwan and Brut when Brut was putting his sour cream in Corwan's burrito. And his burritos. I'm wondering if that's why Calbex was sort of like, is there anything you have to tell me? And then when Corwan like sort of left that part out, he's like, huh, okay. Because I was feeling something weird going on, but okay, if you say so. What else? I mean, obviously the pain part. I'm assuming something really bad happened to Commander Fen. Aside from just his ship getting damaged. Maybe he got burned or something. They don't say anything that happened, but apparently it was painful enough for Brut to basically almost die from the pain. Unless, of course, Brut has a very low pain tolerance. I mean, which that might actually be the case. Speaking of though, you might be wondering like, oh, why did they do that? Why couldn't they have done something else? There is scientific, I guess you could call it evidence for what they did. One of the things is, have you ever had like a migraine or a headache in general? Like the whole little cliche of, oh, not right now, I have like a headache, I can't do anything like that right now. As it turns out, doing, the deed where you put sour cream in burritos, actually helps with getting the headache out because of like, it releases endorphins and it does a whole bunch of other things like that. But also, the whole thing of distracting the brain from pain is a real thing. Like, how they tell people that are like in pain, like, oh, visualize this, visualize you're somewhere else, visualize that you're not here or whatever in order to distract the person from pain. And also there's a whole thing with like the pain gate where like, let's say you hurt one of your fingers or something like that, and it hurts really, really bad and you wanted to stop hurting in that particular finger, you can actually I'm not recommending you to do this, but you can actually hurt yourself somewhere else, and the brain will suddenly stop focusing on the pain on the finger and then focus on the other pain, because the brain can only focus on one source of pain at a time. And you might be wondering, well, what happens if like total body aches, like my whole body aches? That's not true. Technically, your body is getting pain signals from all over your body, but is only focusing on one thing at a time, and then it's moving around as you move around, as you're causing yourself pain basically by moving. But yeah, like the whole sort of distracting yourself from the pain is a real thing. They just decided to go with a very unconventional way to do it. Well, actually, it's not even unconventional. It's actually very conventional. It's just they went with the one that would get the most attention, I guess. I don't know. I mean, it really did distract Brut. He suddenly stopped hurting. He was very concentrated in putting his sour cream in Corwan's burrito. Yeah. But anyways, what else? What else? It's good to see that everyone survived, though. One of the things, though, that I do hope that does happen with the visual novel, though, and I'm not sure how it might happen, is that they continue to focus on Calvex's mental health, and because you have the opportunity to do something really good, especially with the whole topic of like the PTSD. I really, really hope that continues to be a focus, because the story will have like not exactly divergent paths or anything like that, but it will have the ability to focus a bit more on the other characters, like focusing more on Brut, on Alex, on Zarya, on Eric's, to get to know them more, but to have the focus of the story focus on them more. But I kind of wanted to focus more on Calbex and Corwan, like them becoming not like a couple or anything, like not like that, but like becoming what they're supposed to be. Like they're supposed to be a knight and a squire, and the squire is supposed to help the knight, and the knight is supposed to teach the squire stuff. And the thing that's in the way of that is Calbex's, for lack of a better word, PTSD from what happened to him, and what may or may not have happened to his squire because of it. I'm assuming that his squire died, that they went through the Aegis Shock and they died, and that might be part of the reason why Calbex does not want Corwan to link up with him, because if something were to happen to him, Corwan would die. And he probably doesn't want that to happen again, and that's something that is, I guess you could say, haunting him, paining him, or whatever. I kind of want the story to like explore that. I know that the writer may not want to, because they already have the story planned out, or that's just not something that they either feel comfortable with doing or they just don't want to do. But like, it's there. You have a really big chance to do that. And again, it doesn't mean that you can't do it with at the same time getting closer with some of the other people. It's just, if given the chance to focus on Calbex or to venture off with one of the other people, I'm gonna stick with Calbex. Like I'm already telling you guys this already. The only other character that I would possibly ever consider like actually focusing on aside from Calbex would be Brut. Not because of what they just did, but because it seems like there's more going on with Brut than he is letting out. Like he has a vendetta against these invaders, but is he really prepared to take them on, or is he just sort of running on hate and anger? Because that can only get you so far. And it would be also interesting if the whole topic of focusing on the other characters becomes something that you have to do. That we get to see how the knights and the squires influence each other, meaning like how Zarya influences them. Oh crap, I forgot his actual name. The Mawful, I forgot his name. How Alex influences his knight, how Eric's influences Jay's, how Brut influences Fen, and how their knights influence them. And by that I'm referring to how the Aegis is working, because again, it doesn't just transfer pain, it transfers emotions. But yeah, that's kind of what I'm hoping for. If you end up like, if you have to like, oh, you have to, get to know at least one of the other squires, and you have to spend a whole lot of time with them. But yeah, I kind of want to focus on Kelvix more. He seems his stories has more potential to me as far as I can tell, aside from Brut. But yeah, so what are your thoughts? Write it down in the comments, and thank you all for watching / listening. If you'd like to play in Finite Space yourself, you can do so by going down into the link in the description, which should have a direct link for the itch.io page where you can download the game, or you can just go to itch.io.com and download it from there. They, if I recall correctly, have a means of support, which you can find in the description as well, which hopefully gives you early access to builds of Infinite Space, or like behind works in progress or behind the scenes stuff, whatever it is that they might offer. People usually offer stuff. If you recall in the credits, there's like little the supports. A certain level of supporters will end up getting like a little portrait. I think that's what it would be called, like an icon thing, whatever. In the credits. So yeah, you can get that too. But yeah. Also, my link's down in the description. My Ko-fi, if you want to support me through there. My Throne, in case you want to, give me something. I have books on there now. You don't have to buy me electronics. I have books. They're cheaper. That's 5 books that I really want. But yeah, so what else? Oh, if you want to become a channel member, you could do so. There will be a link down there in case you don't see it anywhere else, which, you get quote unquote early access to these videos, because it will be, there's usually like at least 2 weeks worth of scheduled videos. So anybody that is a channel member gets to see the videos 2 weeks in advance. This one came out a little later than I intended though, because I hurt myself. The whole video was already recorded, but I hurt myself, so I wasn't able to finalize it. But I'm better now, so obviously. Anyways, so yeah, I guess that's it for now, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.